Hi everybody, today we're going to be talking about the CSS Transition Property. So what it does is it's an easy way to add an animation to a particular element. So right now I have this green box, just a couple green boxes here in the HTML. In CSS I got a height of 100, width of 100, and a background color of this green here. And then the active, when I click it, it's going to transform it down 300 pixels. And then this transition effect is what's going to animate it. So if I click it, it goes down 300 pixels. If I take it out, take that rule out and save it, see it just instantly does it, so there's no transition. So we're going to be going over the 4 different transition properties that there are. The first one we're going to go over is Transition Property. So this selects the different properties that you can use to animate. So what we'll do is we'll go Transition Property, and then we'll put Transform. So right now this is just telling the transition that you want to transform, or you want to transition this transform property. It's a little complicated, there's a lot of T words here, but yeah, so that's what you're telling it to do, is that this is the rule you want to select. The next one that we're going to pick is the transition duration, which is how long is it going to take to animate. See, right now it still doesn't do anything because it doesn't know how long we want the animation to take place over. So we'll go transition duration, and we'll make it say 3 seconds. So now when I click it, it takes 3 seconds to go all the way down to 300 pixels, and I think the default is a linear progression, which takes me to the next property is transition timing function. And this one, we have a whole bunch of different keywords we can use. The transition timing function right here. This is a great resource, by the way, this MDM docs. You search CSS transitions and you'll get a reference to all the information you need about these different properties. So we have a bunch of keywords we can use. These ease in out, or linear, start, step start. I like the ease in out the most. It kind of goes slow and then fast and then slow again. So we'll go ease in out. So you'll notice now when I click it, it starts slow, goes a little faster, and then it slows back down again. And as opposed to if I pick linear, and now see it just goes an even speed the whole way, as opposed to ease in out. And now see how it goes slow, faster, and then slow again. So that's what the timing function does, is it's how the time is allotted across the transition. The last thing we're going to look at is the transition delay. And so this tells you basically you can specify an amount of time before the animation starts. So we'll say transition delay. We'll call it 1 second right now. And so when I click this now, it's going to take 1/1000, and then it's going to start animating. You see, so you add this delay, 1/1000, and then it starts animating. And you can actually specify negative values on the delay, and what that'll do is it'll keep the, or it'll stop, or it won't animate the first second of this animation basically. So when I click this, it's going to jump from here to here, like instantly, and then it's going to finish out the rest of the animation. So click and see how it jumped, and then it finishes the rest out. So there, if I make it 2 seconds, it's going to jump further down. See, now it jumped further down, and it continues out the animation. So that takes us to this one shorthand property. All these are the 4 major properties, and you can specify different ones with these. So let's say we'll also change the background color. I think you have to put commas in between. No, maybe not. So we'll specify a background color real quick. Let me just make it red, generic red. So when I click it, I'll get rid of this delay function because it's just annoying. So when I click it, it's slowly going to transition to red because I have transform and background color selected here. If I didn't, if I just had transform selected, now when I click it, it instantly turns red and then it carries out the animation. So we will specify background color and save it. And now it slowly transitions both of those over 3 seconds with this timing function. Now we're going to go to the transition shorthand, which I think most people use. It's just called transition. The first value is going to be the properties you want to use. So I'm just going to copy the values from here, and then I'll show you how to add multiple. Whoops. So right now, I'm just for sake of simplicity, I'm going to delete that. So right now we're only affecting the transform functions. So let's see, it slowly goes down. We're just animating that. So transition. The first one's going to be the transform. And then the second value is going to be our duration, which will be 3 seconds. And then the third value is going to be our timing function, ease in, out. And then the fourth is optional. The fourth can be our delay. So I'll say -1 second. That'll be a delay. So, or actually, I'll just do 1 second to make it simple. So now it's going to stop. It's going to delay for 1 second, and then it's going to animate the transform property over these 3. I can actually delete all 3 of these because I have them all specified here now. So see, now it turns red, 1/1000, and then drops down. So those are the transition properties. Here, I'll show you a quick way to add multiple effects to this. Is you'll add a comma, and then you can specify another property. So we'll do background color. Because you'll notice here real quick, I'm going to show you. You'll notice that it still turns red. We're not animating the background color. But if I I'll delete the semicolon, put a comma, and then just for simplicity, we'll put it on a new line, and then we'll say background color. And then we'll also specify that as 3 seconds. Ease in, out. And then I believe I can also add a delay. We'll do that, semicolon, and now it'll delay it for a second, and then it'll go back down, and it'll change the background color along with the transform of moving the animation. And it'll happen for all 3 of these. So that's the transition property. There's some rules are more expensive to animate than others. There's this cool article too. If you just Google high performance animations, they have a couple cool charts. These 4, position, scale, rotation, and opacity, are the cheapest things to animate. These are things that you can be confident that if you animate them, you will get a smooth 60 frames a second. Anything else, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a nice smooth transition. So this helps break it down. This is what the browser does when it renders a web page, and these are the properties that it renders in order. So the higher up on this waterfall you are, the more expensive the operation is. So notice that these cheap animations there's transforms, and then there's an opacity. And you'll see that at the bottom of the waterfall, transform and opacity are down here, which means they're the cheapest ones to animate. Going up a little bit, you see background is up here. So we're actually not using one of these. So if our web page was huge and had a bunch of different things going on, it's not guaranteed that this background transition would be as smooth as it is right here. This is a simple app, so that's why it's just so it doesn't cost a lot or the browser has a lot to use to render it. Real quick, for the one thing I forgot to mention for the timing function is you can also specify cubic Bezier, which is sort of, instead of using these keywords, you can go transition. We'll go. I'll just hit back here a million times until we get our old properties back. So what I can do here is in timing function, I can also specify what's called a cubic Bezier, which is this little kind of functioning graph thing. See, we have our keywords over here. We can just pick a pre-selected one like linear, ease in, out, all that stuff. Or we can create a custom one, which I've done here. So you can kind of use these little handles and move it around as much as you want. But what's interesting is if you move it like that, see how it goes below, and move it up like that, you'll get kind of a cool effect. So keep your eye on this pink square here. When I animate it, see how it goes back and up, you'll get kind of this cool little elastic effect. So we can copy that here, command copy, and then we will apply it to here, to our timing function. So cubic Bezier, and then we'll paste those in, save, and now you'll see it goes up, comes back down, and goes like that again. And now we stopped because remember we didn't put our background color in there real quick. And now it'll animate both of those changes. See how it actually, oh, that's interesting. See, I didn't even know that. See how it goes? It actually goes different kind of green, and then it goes back down. So it's animating the background color too with the cubic Bezier. There, and then it should go, it goes really red and then slightly less red. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's it for this video, guys. This is the transition property in CSS, and I hope you learned something new. Yeah, thanks.